Today, we will be talking about the Bluebee Pals, which is an assistive technology device in the form of a toy that can be used both in the classroom, during therapy sessions, or at home. My name is Arian Peppers, and I am the FAST Program Coordinator at Hope Haven. FAST stands for the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology. It is a statewide lending library that focuses on helping individuals try assistive technology before purchasing it themselves. I also provide trainings on different types of devices and try to help my clients find the assistive technology that will help them live more independently. I am also a certified educator. I completed my bachelor's degree in special education and continued my education to obtain a master's degree in disability services with a concentration in applied behavior analysis. I want to start today's presentation with a quote by Peter Gray. "In a world that seems larger and louder than yourself, it can be comforting to have a small, quiet companion." I found this quote fitting because I believe that as children, we all had a favorite stuffed animal or blanket that we could carry around and we could confide in when we were feeling overwhelmed or sad. However, those stuffed animals could never respond back to us. But with the Bluebee Pals, this has changed, and now our teddy bears can talk to us the same way we talk to them. So what is a Bluebee Pal? A Bluebee Pal is a stuffed animal that pairs with any Apple or Android device through Bluetooth. When this stuffed animal pairs with the device, it has the ability to take any sound that comes from the tablet or phone you are working with, and that sound now comes out of the Bluebee Pal, and the stuffed animal's mouth and head will move as if it is actually talking. Now, these stuffed animals come with their own educational life skills-based app called the Bluebee Pals app, which is great because it goes through and gives you the opportunity to play educational games or maybe games that focus on teaching life skills such as bathing. And the whole time you're playing, it is designed so that the Bluebee Pal is the one teaching you all these new skills. Who can use Bluebee Pals? In short, pretty much everybody can find a way to use Bluebee Pals in their practice. ABA therapists can use Bluebee to give the verbal prompts to the clients they are working with and have those clients follow through with that prompt or behavior you're requesting. I've seen mental health therapists use the Bluebee as a way to kind of break down the barriers in communication with students who might be a little shy in talking about their feelings or events that have occurred. Speech-language pathologists can use Bluebee to re-engage students in the speech apps that they have been utilizing. Educators can definitely benefit through Bluebee. It is a very engaging tool that allows students to connect the Bluebee Pal to different apps they might be using like Starfall or ABC Mouse, and it just becomes a much more engaging experience for them. An occupational therapist have used Bluebee with handwriting or tracing apps to work on that fine motor with students. We're going to start with education and talk about all the different ways we can use this Bluebee Pal in the classroom. I find that they are a great resource for teaching reading to students. You can pair this Bluebee Pal with different apps like Starfall and ABC Mouse, and they can practice their letters and letter sounds, but they do it through the Bluebee Pal. So anytime one of those apps says that sound or says the letter, it's actually Bluebee who is talking to your student and re-engaging them in that lesson and really getting them to focus on what is happening on their screen instead of, like having their gaze wander off and not really paying attention to the sounds that are coming from the tablet. And you can pair these Bluebee Pals with different storybook apps like Epic, where as the app reads to your student and each word is highlighted, that student gets to follow along with the highlighted word and have not just the tablet be reading to them, but have their favorite stuffed animal now reading them the story. And then you can switch it around and say, okay, now it's your turn to read the story to Bluebee instead. And this is also great if you have a public library card and you can download their free app Hoopla, which allows you to download, I think it's 16 different books every month that audiobooks that these students can then read through their Bluebee Pal. And I always tell my early educators that this is definitely a device that you want to utilize during circle time or your morning meetings, because Bluebee is a great way to get your students focused on the calendar activities and when you're rehearsing your colors and your shapes. Because if your stuffed animal is the one asking you, what day is today? And what was the weather like this morning when you got up? It's just so much more fun for students to have a stuffed animal asking that question. And you can even buy like small clothing to put on the Bluebee. So if you ask your students what was the weather and they say, it was raining outside, Bluebee can go, great job, it was raining. What should we wear when it's raining outside? And then you get to put little jackets and rain hats on Bluebee, and everyone is engaged and everyone is more involved. Social skills are such an important life skill to have, and these Bluebee Pals can really help again with the engagement in teaching some of these skills to our students. So you can easily use this Bluebee Pal to help model appropriate and inappropriate behavior with your students by having, let's say, Leo the lion hits Lily the lamb. And then you get to have a whole conversation with your classroom on why that wasn't nice, and maybe how did that make Lily the lamb feel, and why do you think Leo the lion was hitting Lily? And it really teaches them it's not okay to hit. And then you get to teach your students, okay, what should Leo have done instead when he was upset? And then have Leo the lion model using his words with Lily the lamb, and get those students actively involved and engaged in your lesson so they really learn the skills that you were trying to teach them. I also think these Bluebee Pals are great if you do paired reading with your students, because that can be a little overwhelming and scary for our students who might have a stutter or just aren't great at reading out loud yet, because then instead of getting frustrated and not wanting to read, they know, hey, I've got my Bluebee Pal with me, and if you're using one of the apps like Epic, again, when they don't know the word, they can tap on it, and Bluebee can help them and be the one to say that word out loud. And it just really increases the confidence that some of these kids can feel. And I know at one point I was talking with the founder of Bluebee Pals, Miss Laura Janke, and she was telling me that they see great progress in students with autism as they are trying to teach them those social skills of eye contact, or at least looking at people while they're talking, because you can practice this skill with the Bluebee Pal by having the students talk to their friend, and you can be the one controlling the tablet that you're working on and responding back to the student through the Bluebee Pal, and just really getting them used to staring at the face of an individual while they're speaking. I have also found that it's really helpful if you record students while they're reading through the Bluebee Pal app, and then you play their voice recordings back through the Bluebee Pal itself, because then they get to hear what they sound like to others, and it can help them learn how to add more inflection in their voice, or maybe they need to speak up more when they're talking, or it could be the opposite. Maybe the student yells too much when they're talking. Bluebee can help them reflect on these different speaking forms and help them readjust with the supervision of their teacher or their therapist. During my brief time in the classroom, I noticed that many of my students struggled with emotional awareness and self-regulation, and it's part of why I had gone on to study applied behavior analysis. And I thought it was so interesting when I came across these Bluebee Pals, and I started thinking of how educators and therapists could use them to help students recognize their emotions and help them calm down when they are feeling overwhelmed. I think probably one of just the nicest things about a Bluebee pal is that it is a stuffed animal. And so having a Bluebee pal near you means that you are giving that student a 24/7 chance for a hug. And we all know that hugs are extremely important for boosting our immune systems and increasing confidence. And I believe it was Virginia Satir who said that we need 8 hugs per day to stay healthy. And so when students have these Bluebee pals around them, that at least gives them that sense of comfort and companionship that they might be lacking during this time of a pandemic where we're really not encouraging as many hugs in classrooms right now. And they can't be as close or as friendly with their peers as they used to be able to. And I've also found that these devices can be really great at helping students calm down when they're feeling upset or overwhelmed, because not only can they hug them, but they also have the chance to stroke the hair on Leo the lion or feel the soft fur on Sammy the bear, and it gives them something else to focus on that isn't their emotions. And I think having parents record their voice in the Bluebee Pal app and have those parents recording different affirmations for the students, such as "you're doing a great job" or "I love you so much," or even just reminders that they will see them when they get home that evening and everything's going to be okay. And having the Bluebee play that sound of the parents talking to their child back to the student can be really helpful in helping that student remain calm throughout the day. And maybe if they're feeling a little sad, they can get a pick me up by hearing their parents talking to them again. I have touched on communication a bit already, but there are a few more things that I wanted to talk about here. The first being that this is a great resource for increasing engagement and using speech generating devices, especially if it's one that has a Bluetooth connection with it. I know that for younger students, it would have to be really, really intriguing to come into therapy one day and see that there's a stuffed animal sitting on the table, and when they engage with their communication app, it is that stuffed animal that is now doing the communicating for them. And I think that would be a great way to, again, increase that engagement. If you are finding that your client is no longer interested in their current communication device, the Bluebee Pal might be able to help generate that interest again. I have been working with some mental health therapists around my area who are using the Bluebee Pal right now for the communication piece. They are using it so that students can make choices for feelings, or allowing the student to talk about events by using the Bluebee Pal for that purpose. And I think that's really interesting and a unique way to use this device with students, because it can be really helpful if you have a student who is shy or just does not want to share their thoughts. This Bluebee Pal might be able to help them feel more comfortable in expressing themselves again. A few other ways that the Bluebee Pals can be used is when you are teaching sequencing. You can be reading a story to students and then have them use the Bluebee Pal to act out the events that just occurred in the story and see if they can do these events in the correct order in which they were told. You can also use the Bluebee Pal to demonstrate or teach new skills. So you can demonstrate with the Bluebee Pal how you want your students to sit crisscross applesauce on the floor, or demonstrate with the Bluebee Pal the proper way to rub our hands together when we're washing our hands, and then have the student reteach that skill to Bluebee later, and where they have to become the teacher and go, "Okay, Lily the lamb, like this is how we wash our hands." And I think that this can also be a really good tool to reward good behavior. So if you have a student who maybe finishes work early or has done a really great job in therapy that day, bring out the Bluebee Pal and allow them to play a game on it and allow them to interact with this fun assistive technology device and reward them for everything that they've done that day. So this is the end of our presentation today. I tried to go through some of the most common ways that the Bluebee pals are used in different settings, but this was obviously not an exhaustive list of everything that can be done with these assistive technology devices here. I highly encourage you, if you end up borrowing a Bluebee Pal or purchasing one yourself, to send me your success stories and let me know the ways that you have been using it in your setting and if it's been helpful for your clients or your students. My contact information is listed. Again, my name is Arian Peppers, and I am with the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology. Thank you for joining me.